this is hard for Christians to swallow because they see that and they think, well, that's really unjust. If a corporation is taking rights away or taking jobs away from workers for the sake of their bottom line, well, that's wrong. It's like, okay, you're correct. That's wrong. It doesn't change the outcome of what's actually playing out in the situation. It's the same thing with abortion. You can scream that it's wrong until you're blue in the face, but it doesn't change the outcome of what happens when the woman takes the pill or when she goes in for the procedure. So it's difficult, and this ties in with the immigration and the subsidiarity thing, is that people have this idea of, well, this is what Christian love should look like. It's like, okay, yes, we have all these documents and all this church teaching about, well, really, you should love this type of person more than this person. It should be for these reasons and not for those reasons. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. If I don't love my children first, then I'm neglecting my duties as a father. Welcome to The Crunch, the only podcast that's the audio equivalent of getting your socks wet. It's your boy, Ethan.
And I'm Patrick. Man, I hate getting my socks wet, dude.
You don't like getting your socks wet? I thought it was a good thing. I was saying it as a positive.
Really?
Yeah. You go outside. You go outside with your friends, and then you get your socks wet, and then it's just kind of like, ooh, it's kind of squishy. Ooh, it's kind of wet. It's kind of like it's kind of like a spa on the go.
It's not.
And if it gets hot in there, then you've got a sauna inside your Sperry's. Can you imagine?
Did I tell you about the bit that I did about a sauna? There was like a sauna in my grandparents' apartment complex, condo complex. I went into the condo apartment clubhouse because I had to poop. I didn't want to do it in the
sauna
because the condo was really small. And so I came back and I did this bit about the bathrooms were really weird. And everyone was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, they had this like weird, this weird like thing of rocks. And when I peed on it, there was like steam. It was strange. Anyway.
Yeah. Or all these naked Jewish men yelling at me. They kept saying, not in the schwitz, not in the schwitz. And I said, no, I'm taking a
yeah, it's like, sir, please, your language, all right?
Come on. That's funny. Has anyone done that before? The schwitz?
The good old, in the schwitter? Just,
yeah. Probably not. Probably these days. Probably because of woke, you can't make that joke anymore.
You can't schwit in the in the schwitter because of woke. That is true. Although, no, woke is dead.
Those types of jokes are back. We voted for those jokes at the ballot box.
We voted for those jokes. Not being able to poop in the sauna was rejected at the ballot box, and now America is free. And that's true.
Angry 5'4" gym employees were defeated soundly at the ballot box this year.
At the ballot box. Welcome to The Crunch, a podcast, a Catholic podcast where we have conversations about Catholic things. We hope more people have conversations like this. We're glad you're here. You've noticed I've upgraded a little bit.
Where should they look? Where should they look to see?
If you're not on YouTube watching us, which is most of you.
Can I say something real quick? Can I say something without everyone getting mad?
Have we popped off?
We're at 902 subscribers on YouTube.
We're gonna when we hit 1K, unironically, that's when I'm gonna start taking the YouTube seriously, and it's gonna be one of those things where I get like with the Instagram, where we got 10,000 views one time, and I was like, "This is my whole thing now."
I was like, "Wait a minute, I'm gonna only talk about this and do this."
and then the same thing happened with Twitter. I hit 10K on Twitter, and I was like, "All right, this is my whole identity now. I'm gonna spend hundreds of dollars."
Oh, Patrick. Working with you is a great delight of my life, but it's also like being a podcast co-host with the Joker from The Dark Knight.
You're the Batman.
And I'm the Batman. And we only can exist in each other's orbit, and I can never kill you. And you can never kill me, but you kill everything that I love is the thing about you, Sure. You wire up my dreams to an oil drum, and then you tell me that a beautiful woman is attached to it, so I go and try to save it, but it's my dreams. And instead of saving a beautiful woman, it's my dreams, and they blow up. and then
Yeah.
half of my dream's face is burned. When I was in Burma. Anyway.
Sure.
He was holding a ruby the size of a tangerine.
I don't remember that scene.
It's Michael Caine talking about the Joker and why he's like, some men just want to, if some men want to watch the world burn. It's that story,
yes. Yeah. Some men just want to watch the world burn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some men just want a podcast. I just get hyper fixated. They say that the if your business isn't growing, it's your fault. And
I do say that. I say, when I talk to you, I say my business isn't growing and it's your fault.
And it's your fault.
No, I'm kidding. It is our fault that our business isn't growing.
But this is why it's really important. I was talking to a friend about this. He was like, I'm seeing a trend of the 2004, when the internet was dawning, people were like, I'm going to start a solo business where I just, write email copy and I live in, Bangladesh.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
That sounds
still
awesome.
A thing. Like the solopreneur, the digital nomad, making money from anywhere. And this guy and I were talking, he was like, I'm seeing more entrepreneur endeavors of people who team up and start a business together because they move faster. Because there's a specific type of person that is so self-motivated and entrepreneurial and really good at learning that they would just do everything themselves. And not everybody is that guy, but sometimes two guys together are that guy.
That's true. We add up to one successful entrepreneur.
Exactly. Maybe. That's and you guys are here, and and we're happy that you're here.
Oh, it's exciting.
It took me 8 years to have a video set up that's actually worth looking at. That looks like an actual set.
Yes. All that to say, go to youtube.com/ just type in the search bar the Crunch Catholic Podcast. Click subscribe.
It's still definitely a bedroom, but at least it doesn't look like garbage. Yeah.
I'm in a closet and I look like garbage.
No, you actually, your setup has looked better than mine, and you've been using a webcam. Are you still using a webcam?
Yeah, I'm using the Logitech HD 1080p webcam.
And that's the thing. It was still better than mine.
It's because I got lights. That's the thing. If you don't have good lights, I've got these 2 heat lamps with some halogen bulbs that I purchased at Lowe's. And, oh, man, when they shut off, I have like the little fuzzies in my eyes,
I did have
it's
good
like
lights. The
here.
problem was the camera was being operated by a monkey, which is me. I was frantically texting our good friend John Bosco Donahue of happy memory, and he's still alive.
We wish him well.
We wish him well. And I was like, I will buy you a Chipotle burrito because that's currency for single men. I will buy you a Chipotle burrito if you come down to Melbourne and fix my camera for me. And but I didn't have to.
Wow.
And then I texted Nick Strappa, who I also,
Yeah.
It's like that's all I know him better. So I was like, why didn't I just text Nick Strappa first? But I figured it out.
That's good. I'm proud of you. What's on your mind? A lot's been going on in the world lately.
And I'm worried that people are tired of us talking about politics.
I think it's what's on the brain for a lot of people. It's hard not to. And also, if I don't talk about politics, then I have to talk about my life.
Fair.
And
understood.
You don't want to hear about what's going on in my dark, twisted mind. I just listened to Dance with the Devil by Eminem recently, and you don't want to know.
I was looking at like old podcasts, not old podcasts, but the oldest episode of popular podcasts that were video podcasts, so that I could see
for our show,
like in their early stage. Yeah. So I was like, I wonder what the first episode of the Matt Walsh podcast looked like. He's got a pretty nice set. And so I went all the way back to and it's him just sitting in his car.
He's just in his car. Yeah. That's how he got started, was being like an angry car Republican. And now he's still that, but he has a nicer studio.
But he has a nice studio. His podcast is wild. I get Michael Knowles' podcast I can listen to daily. I cannot listen to the Matt Walsh show daily.
Famous Ethan Stevie endorser Michael Knowles. By the
man,
way.
That was big. Michael Knowles retweeted Ethan today. Huge. That's huge.
It's not doing numbers really at all, but I still get to go to work tomorrow and be like, guess who has 2 thumbs and got retweeted by Michael Knowles.
On X. No, and that's that. So I looked back at theirs too, and And I was like,
Mhm.
okay, these guys 5 years ago, they were doing silly things, but I guess they were older than us when they started, so we still have time, I guess is what I'm saying.
I fear not the man who has done 10,000 podcasts, but I fear the man who has practiced one podcast 10,000 times.
How is that not the same thing?
Oh, let me back. Let me.
It's the Jackie Chan quote, right?
It's the Jackie Chan quote. I don't care if you do a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I care if you do one thing. And we've been doing the same thing since 2016. And so when we hit 1,000 YouTube subscribers, when I figure out my background, when we start having real guests on the show, we will have practiced a podcast 10,000 times. And Jack Chan is going to come on.
It's
and he's
crazy
going
that
to...
we started this podcast before the first Trump administration.
That is kind of interesting, isn't it? We've lived through wars
and kung
famines.
flus, which, by the way, executive order kung flu is now fine to say again.
That's true.
I always thought that was funny, but no one else did. No one thought it didn't even catch on like within the Republican movement. I always thought that was like kind of clever.
I do like kung flu. I
always thought it was funny, but everyone was like, "That's racist," and I'm like, "Nah, I think
it's not racist.
I think
it's not
just
racist.
Funny.
It's not
racist.
racist.
Like they're not like it's not like they're saying, "Oh, it's kung flu," and also I hate Asians. It's not.
Right. It'd be like saying you got chicken pox. You're like, "Oh, that's speciesist," to say you got chicken pox, or to say that you've got what's another illness? Rhinoplasty, right? And that's like racist to rhinos.
That's a procedure, but yeah.
Or like you got maybe shingles, and you're like, "Oh, that's Rufus."
That's Rufus. Anyway,
Rufus. I loved him in Kim Possible. Okay.
Yeah, there it is. I know Rufus is a great guy.
Okay.
Oh,
but we got to talk about.
So we're talking about politics.
Yeah, we got to talk about the Ordo Amoris.
Yeah, dude, because it's I wanted it. When I woke up this morning, I was like, "Oh, we're going to talk about pro-life stuff," because I think we should talk about pro-life stuff.
Why are we talking about pro-life stuff?
Because RFK was getting his confirmation hearing, and they were talking about abortion with him, and I think he's the first instance of the opposite of Joe Biden, where I think RFK is personally pro-choice but politically pro-life. That's the first instance I know of.
The clump of cells should be allowed to live.
Exactly. That's that. Did you see James Charles made fun of RFK's voice?
What did
talk about?
That's crazy. Pot, kettle.
It's like
yeah.
Like at least the voice that he's doing is unintentional. James Charles, on the other hand.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't even know James Charles was still alive, to be honest with you.
Still around. Yeah, he's still doing things.
I thought he would have like tripped and cut himself on one of his fake nails and bled out or something,
He is that emoji of the lady with long nails. Anyway.
The Patrick Star picture.
Yeah, that's a more recent meme. But I wanted to talk about abortion, RFK, and everything that Trump has done in terms of executive orders. But then JD had this interview last night. JD Vance on Hannity. And can I just say something about like legacy and big media organizations?
I would be
why they're dying?
Sad if you didn't.
So this is why big media organizations are dying, because when I was on a whim, I was about to, I was on a drive, and I was like, I want to hear what JD Vance is saying on the Rogan show, because I heard he went on Rogan. So like at a stoplight.
He did? Recently?
He went on Rogan before the election.
This is from before. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I go, I want to hear what JD Vance has to say for himself. It's been a long time since I've heard him talk. And so I'm at a stoplight, and I pull up and I go, Rogan, JD Vance, and I find it, boom, and I play it. I still haven't found the full interview that Sean Hannity did with JD Vance. Like, if you look up Sean Hannity Vance, like a bunch of clips on their paywalled website, and it's like, this is why legacy media is failing, is because you can't access anything that they produce. And you can't tell me that it's because they need to make money, because Joe Rogan's doing fine. Like there's all these independent news organizations. They seem to manage by just monthly subscriptions from people, and they, anyway. So, but there's one clip from that interview, Sean Hannity and JD Vance, that's making the rounds, and I do have it if you want me to play it.
I haven't seen it. Could you pull it up?
Okay, yes, I can, because I have the actual file, so we can just
I don't watch Hannity, and I'm not on. My job is very busy these days, and so I'm not on X as much during the
on
day.
the Everything app.
I'm not on X the Everything app, so I'm missing on a lot of this context, unfortunately.
It's in my stuff to react to folders. I had a bunch of reaction videos today on it.
Yeah.
Let's see this.
Stuff to react to folder, and it's just all of your tax forms. Oh, no.
But there's this old school, and I think it's a very Christian concept, by the way, that you love your family, and then you love your neighbor, and then you love your community, and then you love your fellow citizens in your own country. And then after that, you can focus and prioritize the rest of the world. A lot of the far left has completely inverted that. They seem to hate the citizens of their own country and care more about people outside their own borders. That is no way to run a society. And I think the profound difference that Donald Trump brings to the leadership of this country is the simple concept, America first. It doesn't mean you hate anybody else. It means that you have leadership. And President Trump has been very clear about this, that puts the interests of American citizens first. In the same way that the British Prime Minister should care about Brits and the French should care about the French, we have an American president who cares primarily about Americans, and that's a very welcome change.
We don't need to hear Hannity talk.
Get out of here,
So
Sean.
Yeah, right. Oh, I did just you. I'm back. So that's JD Vance talking about subsidiarity on Fox News.
It's pretty cool.
I think we might be back. I think
we never left, man. I think we've always been here.
Because I am cautious about just like carte blanche endorsing politicians and being like, this is our guy. But like, if you longtime listeners will remember my obnoxious post-liberalism arc 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like I would have been ecstatic if I heard that in 5 years the vice president of the United States was going to be talking about subsidiarity on the national stage. I would have vastly reorganized my priorities and talked more about politics, I think, if I had known that was going to be the case. Because like from my perspective, and I think the perspective of most Catholics, it was like the fight in DC was useless from 2020 until now. Yeah. I don't know if you felt that, but that's how I felt. It was like there's no winning because the behemoth of liberalism in like the classical and new sense is just too big. The Leviathan is too strong.
I think people were so caught up on pro-life issues too that there was no way to make any sort of political progress or change unless it was strict pro-life purist position, which I think after that position losing for like 25 years, people were like, well, maybe we should not do that anymore, which is not to say that it's okay to compromise on the position of abortion. But I think if we're talking about voters as like a group of people or just Americans, I'm not endorsing this. I'm not saying this is good or bad. I'm just saying people got tired of waiting around for the purist pro-life movement to win because it was just clear that it was not going to. And which is a fault of the pro-life movement more than it is a fault of the American people, you know?
Yeah,
because they didn't make it attractive enough, which is because it should be attractive, right? It should be very attractive for women to have children and raise them and have families and have the resources they need. But instead of doing that, everyone was like, don't kill the baby. Don't kill. When they should have been like, you can be a mom. Here's all the ways that we can help you be a mom. You can go to college and be a mom. You can go to work and be a mom. You can buy a car if you need a car and be a mom. Like there's all these things that you think that you can't be a mom because you can't afford or that you can't do. We solve it for you here. But instead, everyone was yelling for
and they also
years.
thought that the argument could be won on logic and reason. And I said this several years ago that it's like it's not going to happen because there's some kind of financial incentive, and as it turns out, that financial incentive was to like selling medical waste and selling baby parts. So that's crazy. But it's like
it's also just the fundamental consumer behavior. It's not even consumer, it's just human psychology. People make decisions based on emotion and then justify it on logic. Most people do not make decisions with a foundation of logic at all.
Correct.
which and then you add in all the hormones and the sexuality and the love and the heartbreak of situations that involve abortion, then it's like you can kind of throw logic out the window. So saying like, well, but life begins at conception is like, I don't care.
They don't.
I hate my boyfriend and I can't work.
Yeah.
And I have nowhere to live and my parents are kicking me out of my house, or, whatever the thing is. It's like, at that moment, I have all my emotions are saying, I don't care about this.
And I think that's why, and maybe I think this dovetails into the pro-life issue, because what JD was talking about was immigration.
Yeah.
But yes. I think this does connect with the pro-life issue, especially because Catholics tend to talk about pro-life and immigration in the same breath. It's any Catholic that leans to the left can't talk about pro-life without being like, well, and the Republican Party isn't very good at immigration. It's always paired together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a point that I made in an Instagram reel that's coming out soon is those two things are not even kind of comparable, because reasonable people can disagree on one and irrational people disagree on the other. It's reasonable people can disagree on immigration. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm moving on. But I'm happy that JD, because when I talk about immigration again, we did it last week. I'm happy that JD is focusing on the order of love, of like, you have a responsibility to your children, and then to your neighbors, and then to your community, then your country, and so on, because it reframes the conversation in terms of rights instead of responsibilities. And this is something that I've critiqued the pro-life movement on before, but not strongly enough. I think pro-lifers need to stop talking about right to life. And because first of all, it's clearly not working. It's clearly not working.
Framing it as a human rights issue doesn't work, because it's fundamentally a business decision or a purchasing decision that women are making. They're choosing to purchase a product that is solving their problem. And it just so happens that the product is either a procedure or a pill that they take that makes their problem go away, so that they can achieve a state that is more desirable. It's like taking a supplement or getting a workout class. That's the behavior. It has nothing to do with human rights.
No one's asserting their rights. It's framed that way, and it's a liberal framing, because the left frames it as a human rights issue from the woman's perspective. Like, a woman has a right to do that, like the way she has a right to, like, brush her teeth, I don't know, or go to a workout class. But the issue with us kowtowing to that and responding in a rights framework is like, well, what about the rights of the weak? It's a misunderstanding of how power works. When two people are asserting their rights, and this is how our Constitution works, and the way that we look at contracts, right? When two people are asserting their right to do something, the person who wins is the person who has more raw power. Like, oh, workers' rights. Like, yeah, sure, but I own everything, so sorry, I have a right to do what I want with what I want with my property, and so that trumps your right to have a job. Sorry, sucks. And so, and when framing things with rights, it misses that there's when two people are asserting their rights and they come into conflict, the person with more power will win. And inherently, when you frame it's a losing battle, because you're being like, well, the rights of the baby are there, and the mother's like, I don't care, because I have the ability to decide how this goes. It doesn't matter if the child has a right, because a right isn't like a real thing. It's a negative, but a responsibility is active. Catholic men, if you want to be a great man, you have to know yourself first. And I will admit, I used to think I knew myself pretty well until I did Exodus 90. I thought that giving up social media would be hard because I love tweeting. However, it was television that was hard for me, honestly, because I admit I watch The Office on my phone while I'm getting ready and doing things. And so when I had to give up television and I had to sit in silence, I was like, oh no, I have to be alone with my thoughts. That's terrifying. But it was good because I got to talk to God more, and also my wife, the two people who are the most important in my life. At that point, the only two people that were important in my life, Leo had not yet been born. So when I did Exodus 90 in 2022, I was able to reconnect with my wife, reconnect with my God, and prepare the way for my little bundle of joy who is potty training now. So pray for us. All of that is to say, if you've been considering doing Exodus 90 every single year for the last 10 years, now is your time to do it. Okay? Stop pussyfooting around, which is something you can say on a non-explicit podcast because that is a word, pussyfoot. Stop pussyfooting around and go to exodus90.com/crunch, exodus90.com/crunch, and get a 14-day free trial of their mobile app that is essential to the experience of Exodus 90. Trust me on that. Don't wait because Exodus 90 starts on January 20th. Hop in that cold shower and give up all non-essential things in your life except for this podcast, which, as you know, is the most essential thing in your life. Thank you to Exodus 90 for sponsoring another episode of the Crunch Bagel. I hope this ad was funny. All right, man, listen, I try my best. Thank you, Exodus 90, for sponsoring this episode of the Crunch. Now back to your regularly scheduled crunching.
This is hard for Christians to swallow because they see that and they think, well, that's really unjust. If a corporation is taking rights away or taking jobs away from workers for the sake of their bottom line, well, that's wrong. It's like, okay, you're correct. That's wrong. It doesn't change the outcome of what's actually playing out in the situation. It's the same thing with abortion. You can scream that it's wrong until you're blue in the face, but it doesn't change the outcome of what happens when the woman takes the pill or when she goes in for the procedure. So it's difficult, and this ties in with the immigration and the subsidiarity thing, is that people have this idea of, well, this is what Christian love should look like. It's like, okay, yes, we have all these documents and all this church teaching about, well, really, you should love this type of person more than this person. It should be for these reasons and not for those reasons. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. If I don't love my children first, then I'm neglecting my duties as a father. You know, if I love the stranger or love the immigrant as like a vague concept and sacrifice the things that are closest to me in the name of the common good, then because I'm not paying attention to that which is close to me, I'm paying so much attention to the common good, then the common good starts to disintegrate because nobody's paying attention to their local good or their privatized good. It doesn't track at all. It's like, well, it'd be like saying, maybe a more understandable example is someone who wants to be really successful at his job, a husband or a father, and is doing a lot of good. Maybe not even a job. Maybe you're a pastor of a church and you're married and you have kids and you want your church to be really successful and it's doing gangbusters and everybody's coming to your church and people are converting and people are getting baptized and they're hearing about the gospel for the first time, but you're neglecting your wife and you're neglecting your children. It's like, is the common good increasing? Yeah, you could say so. There's more people that are being baptized. There's more people that are converting. More acts of charity are happening. More works of mercy are happening. But the pastor has neglected his own, the good that is entrusted to him, his wife and children. So is that really the best thing according to Christian laws of love?
Yeah, it's one of the,
I would say no.
One of the main problems with the liberal project in general, and if you're new here, liberalism, by that I mean like every political philosophy from 1800 and forward, when we decided that the fundamental identity of a human person is the ability for them to choose what they want to do. That's like utilitarianism. To be free, right? Yeah. Freedom instead of being freedom to do what I ought, it's freedom from people stopping me from doing what I want. And so one of the core problems with liberalism is, they assume that everyone is self-centered and seeking after their own good, which is so your foundation is vice, which is a problem. But then it says, okay, we're going to construct this artificial, sandbox where people can play those rights out. So everyone has these rights, which are endowed by their creator. So like there's some kind of appeal to God. But everyone has these rights, which we've engraved in the Constitution, and everyone points to the Constitution instead of the creator, which I've always found interesting. Like, well, the Constitution says, like, okay, well, does the Constitution or does God? Because that's a different thing. Anyway, well, the Constitution says this, and so it's people asserting rights, and so we have this kind of patchwork house of cards of people all being supported by their own rights. But Catholic social teaching, and I think honestly we should strip that term away and just call it Catholic political thought. Like the way that politics actually works is it's a representation of what is real and what is. It's not a representation of what ought to be. And Catholics sometimes frame this like, well, you ought to love, and they will say you ought to love the stranger. Okay, but that's the thing is like people don't. People don't naturally love someone who's random. I mean, they don't love someone who's randomly coming into their house. All right, so like what? Sorry, let me clarify this. Let me start over because I not editing anything. I just want to I want to.
You confused me, man. Now I'm confused, and I'm going to turn off the podcast now because you confused me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So
I'm just joking.
The thing people say, Catholics talk about subsidiarity as like, well, things ought to be local and then regional and then national. But a reframe for subsidiarity is it's not just that good things ought to be done on the lowest level possible, but it's that good things are in reality only enjoyed at the lowest possible level. Like you cannot love thy neighbor if they are not here. Like if they're not in front of you. You can't love thy neighbor if they're in Rwanda, which is another thing that was in this J.D. Vance interview. Like, why are we sending a bunch of aid over to Gaza for condoms, right? Like, why are we doing that? Why do we care? Why are we sending that much money over there instead of sending it to people that are here? Like, why are we sending it to our own citizens? And it's because people are like, well, I want to love my neighbor all the way over there. I want to love my neighbor in the California wildfires. It's like, no, you're supposed to love the people that are right in front of you. And someone asks, well, what if a legal immigrant moved in next door to my house? Cool, then you're called to love them. You're called to welcome the stranger in that regard, but not the vague idea of immigrants qua immigrants. You know, it's kind of it's nebulous.
How do you? A lot of people are saying they're coming online and they're saying, well, if you only love the people that love you, what credit is that to you? You know, we should be. You say like, oh, you don't naturally love a stranger who walks into your house, but you should.
Yeah.
Because we are invited to love everybody. So this distinction between what ought to be and what is, I think the misunderstanding is that because conservatives are operating generally within what is, and liberals are generally operating within what ought to be, according to their interpretation, they don't understand that we really do want to move from what is to what ought, but we have to be in what is first.
Yes, yeah.
Which I think is the challenging thing. Well, Christians should love these people. Okay, I would love to love them, but if they're here illegally, we should invite them to leave. You know, Christians should have mercy on people. Okay, we should also have justice if someone has done something wrong. Right. This is the really challenging thing. It's like, what does it matter a ton what order chronologically those things happen in, you know?
Yeah.
Like, do I have to like forgive you and love you and like establish a relationship with you, and then I have permission to deport you because you're here illegally?
I do also think that it's, you know, there's plenty of people who don't like me right here. Like that's the other thing is like, you know, if you only love, let you supporting this. If you only love people who love you back, what profit is that to you? Sure, yeah, but like sometimes people in your family don't love you very much. Sometimes people in your community don't love you very much. I think it's like the call to Christian love is done on the local level. Period. Like you can't love people on the national level.
Right.
And that's kind of the lines are blurred because of the internet or whatever, and because we live in a globalist society. But you cannot love people or enjoy good things on the national or international level, barely even on the state or regional level. You know, it's like you can only love. This is why confession happens in person and not over Zoom. It's like you can only encounter synodality, you know, dialogue with someone who's right in front of you. And so this appeal to love in the abstract, that love in the abstract applied and say you have to love these abstract demographics, that's why it rings hollow. Because even devout Christians, even at my most like left wing, you know, the vague appeals like, oh, we should love immigrants just feels hollow. Because it's like, okay, cool, I love immigrants. how does that change? I guess it maybe changes how I vote. Maybe it changes how I talk to people or react to the news.
The only thing it changes is how you identify and what social group you're now accepted in.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually change your behavior.
It would mean I don't
really
have to work out, which is nice.
What do you mean?
Is
the only reason to work out because you hate immigrants?
No, the only reason I work out is because I'm conservative now, apparently. That's
Yes.
The left keeps calling conservatives like hot, and it makes me uncomfortable. Have you seen this?
I don't think they're talking about us.
No, I don't think they are, but they could be. I hear podcasters are getting hot in 2025.
Yeah, maybe some of them. I think hot people are just starting podcasts in 2025. The people who've already had them.
We're grandfathered into the ugly podcast.
Yeah, we're lumped into being the loser podcast class. This is a fascinating idea. The love local. Ted Shree, famous saying a few years ago at the Focus Seek conference.
Oh, okay.
He screamed love local, and he had a voice crack, and so it kind of
I think I remember that.
It permeated through the ranks of Focus for quite some time. Love local. I do think I say this a lot, but it's kind of like vibes based on the left.
Mm-hmm.
People want to feel like they're a part of something that's happening, which is why in Ukraine happened, or Gaza happened, or whenever something occurs, the left gets all serious, online. And they're like, this is so effing important right now, because they want to feel like something is happening.
Yes.
And so it's the same thing with this immigration deal, or with anything, right? If I can get with a bunch of other people digitally, primarily, and then maybe once in a while we're all together at a rally, or we're marching down the road, or we're stealing lotion from CVS, whatever it is that we all do together. Then I can feel like I'm a part of this thing, like I'm a part of something. And I think that's not like the Christian call to love either. It's like feeling like you're a part of a movement,
Yeah.
That's kind of commie, gobbledygook.
Yeah, it's commie gobbledygook.
I think the Christian thing is you have a life that you're living every day, and you see people every day. Even if you work from home like me and you only see your wife and your 2 sons and your neighbor maybe. And I was at a coffee shop, so I saw like a coffee shop worker, and like I was sitting, there was a guy who was playing Mo Bamba on his phone, but it was a remix that he clearly had made of Mo Bamba on his phone.
He was playing it,
and it was
out loud.
And it was out loud. And I could have done a better job of loving him, but instead I kept turning and giving him the stink eye because I was trying to write an email. And he was bothering me, but I could have been like 6 song, dude. It's a nice remix.
Did you remix?
I did.
Mo
I
Bamba?
failed. I have a couple hours tonight before I go to bed.
Hey, you know what? Again, talking about things that happened in 2016, you could remix Mo Bamba.
Yeah.
Mo Bamba came out in 2018, I think. That sounds about right. Do you think Ted?
Because I've got Joe Biden.
Nice.
He's a Freemason now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He's excommunicated. Poor Joe. Pray for his soul. Laptop. Cocaine in the White House. All right. Okay.
All right, man.
Folks, that's enough for today. Do you get what I'm saying? It's
Yes.
this. I'm living every day, and I see people every day, and there's this grand idea of if someone's here illegally, they should be deported, and that the people over there on the other side of the world, I should not be paying money for them to be getting condoms or scholarships to American colleges. It's just like because I think scholarships to American colleges should be going to the people that live in America and go to American colleges. Mm-hmm. And that's not saying that you don't have dignity over there. That's saying I'm living my life here and I'm interacting with these people here, and it doesn't make any sense for some entity to extract my labor and my capital and send it across the globe.
Correct, yeah.
and or float and support anybody from across the globe that wants to come here, right? It's if that is also like a lack of justice. And so but I think maybe liberals are just like, they don't see people in their day-to-day life. Like they don't have kids, they don't have a family, so they don't have anyone to love. They have roommates.
I don't know though, because like a lot of the liberal talking points are like, man, things are so expensive, it's so impossible to make, like the American dream is dead. It's like, but why? But people are coming in and we're giving them housing assistance, and why is that money not going to Americans? Like what? Or like why is it?
There are veterans who are on the street who fought in wars for our country that don't have homes. It's like, at the very least, like give them a house first.
Yeah. Like I understand, I do understand. Again, we're talking about immigration. Like I do understand refugees. Like I understand it's hard to be a refugee, and like I don't understand it, but I conceptually understand the concept that it's hard to be a refugee and it sucks. But it's like refugee camps are like they're like that for a reason. It's because there's a lot of people all of a sudden moving to a place. There's no place for them to stay except for outside. It doesn't make sense to give them like a 2-bedroom in Oklahoma City. You know what I mean? Like it's because there are Americans that are struggling to get that on their own, and so it's strange for the U.S. government to come in and give it to someone else like that. That's like your son being not having a house. It's like your son being homeless, and you're selling a house to someone else.
Yeah.
Or not even selling it, like giving it to them for free.
Yeah. Could we put them in a tent city, but also give them like a music festival experience? So I'm thinking
like Burning Man.
We get Diplo out there. We get Tiesto.
The Legos?
We get Skrillex. That's Duplo.
Oh, I thought that was a house that was
Diplo.
like 2 houses together.
We get we get who's popular right now in the music. We get Sabrina Carter to go perform for the tent cities. And now we're actually doing something, right? Before you don't want to, you're going to school, you're going to church, an ICE agent is coming, he's taking you, or hey, alternative, you don't have to live in fear, live in the tent city, and we'll have Chappelle Roan play Hot to Go. Has anybody pitched this yet?
Has anybody pitched the tent? I don't think so.
This is a family podcast, Patrick, so please don't bring up that.
All right, man. That's Ethan, help, I'm drowning. I need to find land, perhaps an island, a Greek island, to find safety, both in physical and digital security.
You got your little flippers on?
I got my little
swimming boy. You little snorkel?
Swimming. I'm like, help someone find me.
You're the type of guy.
I'm swimming in an ocean of privacy violations, and I need to find a haven in this digital ocean.
You're the type of guy that would go on an excursion in the Mediterranean and the boat would leave you behind. I just need you to know that. I hear you. I think the internet is getting more and more pernicious. They're making robots that talk and walk and pour drinks.
Pour beer.
And it's getting to be a little bit much. I mean, we're going to Mars, but at what cost? You know what I mean? And I think that each American, especially in the coming years when it's going to become illegal to be Catholic, we deserve our privacy. We deserve to be protected from government overreach and big companies that are spying on us, trying to target us with ads, trying to get us to spend our hard-earned dollars on their junk instead of on investing in a beautiful future for our families and our friends. Patmos Hosting Solutions can solve that. Not only do they protect you from big tech, not only do they provide a one-of-a-kind integrated hosting solution for your business, for your website, for your platform, whatever it is you need, but they will never censor you. They'll never take your data. Even if they 100% disagree with you, even if they think you're the worst person on the planet, they have that integrity, and that's what I really love about Patmos.
Yeah, Patmos has really helped us out over the past couple of months, setting us up on our website. We are believers. We practice what we preach, and so our podcast is secure on Patmos servers, free from any kind of external intrusion that might occur. And they got a great team. They'll walk you through setting it up. It's one-on-one service, which you're not going to get on any competitor web hosting services. You go to your whatever, your Wix space or your Wordly, whatever. They're not gonna host your web. They're not gonna walk you through hosting. You're gonna have to set up some kind of nonsense. They're gonna walk you through it. They're gonna help you out. They're great over there.
If you tell them that we sent you, you get 10% off. Go to patmos.tech. Let them know that we sent you. Thank you to Patmos for sponsoring this episode of The Crunch. You could have different stages. You could have countries. You could have Trace Adkins. You could have, depending on
Coldplay.
Could be
in.
great. I don't know I don't know what these people listen to.
Who?
What kind of music they like?
Afghani refugees. I don't know what they.
Yeah.
Listen
What are
to
they?
Either.
What do they listen to?
I don't know. I assume it's going to be music that's similar to the stuff that woke us up in Bethlehem at 3 a.m.
I've been listening to a lot of Blink 182, so I would go to the refugee city if Blink 182 was there.
Bro, the number one reason to retake the Holy Land is not so that Christians can travel safely and they stop bombing each other. It's so
you can turn off the sounds from the mosque.
It's so that it's so that me, Patrick Nevy, in 2023 doesn't get woken up at 3 o'clock from some guy going, Stop that. People are trying to sleep, man.
The hotel had construction going on. We were right next to a mosque. So it was just all day, all night, and chanting. And I already wasn't getting sleep, and there's no AC in the room. And it's actually, and by the way, if you're it's fine for me to make fun of them because I was the minority in that city and they were in power. We were actually, if you think about it, we were being impressed by the sheer fact that there was no McDonald's within walking distance of our hotel. That was what was really frustrating. Is I wanted some halal McDonald's.
There was a McDonald's in the Ben
whatever.
Gurion International Airport, and we didn't.
That's true. A kosher McDonald's would have hit so hard on the last night before we left.
Bro, they do DQP with no C.
DQP with no cow. No
cheese. You can't put
cheese. They can't have cheese
on meat.
What?
You can't.
They can't have cheeseburger.
I don't think cheeseburgers are kosher.
Are you sure? You're just confusing these with vegans. They're Jewish.
I'm pretty sure vegans are cheeseburgers healthy. Are cheeseburgers kosher? No, cheeseburgers are not kosher because they combine meat and dairy, prohibited by Jewish dietary laws. Kashrut refers to.
So could you have beef and a glass of milk, or would that not be allowed also?
Kosher kitchens keep utensils and equipment used to prepare meat and dairy separate, including sinks. Wow. Kosher meat comes from animals that have split hooves and chew their cud, such as cows, sheep, and goats, not pig.
Dude, thank goodness it's not what goes into the body, but it's what comes out of it. You know?
Yeah, dude.
That's one of my favorite teachings of Jesus.
Yeah.
Is that I can just eat anything. It's actually the hugest homie move that he could have made. He could have said, so that you always remember me and my laws. Always never have a cheeseburger. But instead he was like, have as many cheeseburgers as you want. Oh, I might go get one tonight.
So this Reddit post about kosher is sending me.
Yeah. Okay.
Cheeseburgers. Hey guys, Muslim here. Question about kosher.
Dude, even the Muslims talk.
Can eating a cheeseburger ever be kosher?
Yeah.
All cheeseburgers with real meat, real cheese can never be kosher because mixing meat and milk is forbidden. All sects of Judaism would agree with that. Not everybody keeps kosher, though. That's not actually true. Technically speaking, if a cow dies pregnant with a calf, the calf itself would be parva. Don't know what that means. And then someone goes, it's called ben pakua, and that's only true on a biblical level. Rabbinically, ben pakua meat is meat. Nope, I spoke to the head of Bel's Hashkaga. I'm like, this is a fake religion. This is ridiculous. This is too much. Is this what we sound like when we're talking about Meatless Fridays? Like, technically, you can have alligator and beaver for some reason, but like...
Did you see the post that was like, God invented Mormons so that Christians would know what it's like for Jewish people to listen to Christian theology?
I've made that joke myself personally, that like Catholics are like Jewish
That's pretty
Mormons.
funny.
It's funny. It's like adding an extra book at the end. The only difference, though, is that like all of your prophecies led up to this. You know, it like fits everything exactly. Versus,
explicitly.
Like, the New Testament has like 0 prophecies about this. I was listening to a guy talk about Mormonism, and he was like, it was that atheist British guy. They have a new one.
The Cosmic Skeptic.
Yes. The Richard Dawkins cosplay.
Alex O'Connor. He's good. He had a debate with Father Gregory Pine that was interesting.
I bet that was great. I bet Father Gregory Pine whipped him. I bet that's what happened.
We should have Alex O'Connor on the podcast, not because we want to debate him about. I just want to like have a hang sesh with the atheist. You know?
I did think
just
that
talk
his
about
little
whatever.
quip about how he believes in geocentrism was pretty funny. He was like, heliocentrism and geocentrism. If the sun is just an arbitrary point in the universe, then why not be a geocentrist? And I was like, that's a really great point. And so it was like, well, everything orbits around the sun. He's like, nope, it's just a weird pattern. Like the sun makes everything orbits around the earth. It's just a weird pattern.
He's so serious all the time. He should go on Fortnite Fridays with Connor Eats Pants. In my opinion,
I
you know
agree.
what I'm talking about?
No, I don't know what any of those words.
Connor Eats Pants is a Twitch streamer, and he plays Fortnite on Fridays, and he'll have famous guests. So he had Adrian Dittman on, and he had the Tiger King, and he had George Santos.
How did he get the Tiger King? The Tiger King's in jail.
I think the Tiger King was just on a call from jail.
Okay.
While he was playing Fortnite, so he just gets these like really random famous people on.
Do you think
and
Trump's
I think
gonna pardon Joe Exotic?
Did you see the post he made about it? He's like, Donald Trump, how did you forget me?
Oh, husband. Oh, Trump.
Oh man.
But anyways, Alex O'Connor was talking about Mormonism.
Yeah.
And he was saying that we have more historical testimony proving that the golden plates really happened than the resurrection. I was like, that's just simply not true. He was like, we have more written testimony about the Mormon plate. I'm like, yeah, we have more written testimony about Bush doing 9/11. That doesn't make it more realistic than the resurrection. What is written testimony?
Yeah.
But he was like, yeah, the thing is that even we have 3 people who say they saw the plates be given to Joseph Smith with their own eyes, and even when they left the church, they didn't recant. And I was like, oh, interesting. When they left the church, why did they leave the church? If it was so true and it happened, why did they leave? Anyway, I was like, they just seemed like
were they tortured to death when they left the church?
I know, they just kind of like split ties, and Joseph Smith was like, yeah, you can have this part of Utah and a university for some reason, and you can marry my cousin who's 8 years old or something.
Why is it always kids, man?
Why is it always kids, dude?
Why is it always kids?
Oh man,
people are asking that question.
Anyway,
that's good. I think we said all that there is to say. I think subsidiarity is good. I think anybody who tries to tell you that you should care more about strangers than your own family is a Marxist, and
it doesn't follow all the way down. I think that the biggest takeaway, if you want to understand Catholic social teaching, is that the family is the basic cell of society. Think about what that means. Is like it means that most politics can be shrunk down to the level of a family so you can understand it, right? And it's like this is why guys who become dads are becoming more conservative, because they're like, yeah, I can't like sweet talk my son and welfare him into submission. Like it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
I need to sometimes discipline him, right? It's like that's just what happens. And so like you gotta shrink things down to the family level. If you take the premise of I need to care about people in another country more than people in my own country, it's absurd. Because if you take it down to the family level, it's like, why would I care about someone else's kid more than mine?
Mm-hmm.
You know? Anyway.
Yeah. It's like every person has a right to be loved and a right to be treated with dignity, but we don't have a responsibility to personally enact the love and care for every individual person.
We have a hierarchy of responsibility, and it's more
right
geared towards the people that are near us.
Exactly. Because otherwise, can you imagine if God placed a responsibility on you to individually love and nurture and care for someone in Rwanda? It's like, it's just is unreasonable.
Yeah.
You know, you have a responsibility to preach the gospel to the whole world, to the 4 corners of the earth, but you don't have the responsibility to like move to another place to like love people and like give them money.
Yeah.
And
so if you do that, it's heroic. Like that's the thing. It's like
exactly.
If you go
to
Rwanda and do it, you're a hero.
Yes. If you get on the slave ships like St. Peter Claver and you baptize all the slaves, tens of thousands of slaves, once they reach the New World, then you're a great saint, you know. Yeah, we don't. Or if you play Nintendo and make websites is the other thing.
Oh man,
Blessed Carlo is a wonderful boy. I just think it got diluted in the 20th century what it takes to get canonized.
I hear you.
Slightly.
All right.
You know?
We're not opening that can of worms again.
I'll open
Final
it up.
statement is I'm excited that the Vice President of the United States called someone a midwit on Twitter. I think that's what we need more of in this world. I think that
Yeah.
for listening. I'm happy you're all here.
I really love this podcast and I love you. And I think if you want to support us and you want us to do more of this type of work, please go to patreon.com/thecrunch. We need to hire someone to make thumbnails for our YouTube channel. I need to make a little bit more investment in my studio space here. I'm thinking about putting a shelf back here. I was kind of thinking, whenever you were talking, I wasn't listening. I was thinking about what it would look like to have a bookshelf behind me. So I think that would be good. We've also got some big plans and some people we're planning on bringing on the show. So it's going to take some cash for us to do all.
We're
the
not
things
announcing
that
the
we
big thing yet, right? We're not
We're not announcing the big
No.
thing. I'm just saying, if you like what we do and you want us to keep doing it in a bigger way, that's our plan for 2025. You can get on board and you can benefit greatly. You can reap rewards. So go to patreon.com/thecrunch. $5 a month is all it takes to help us out. $10 a month if you want our bonus podcast, which we're about to record. Patrick, do you have anything else for the people?
If you want to put stuff on this little shelf behind me,
Okay,
don't
don't
take me
take me out of the image. Don't take me out of the image. That's rude and crass. I'm going to end the recording.
no, if you want to put some of this little stuff behind me, let me know what I should put there. Besides stuff that I have now, I am willing to change things around. It's kind of ad hoc.
Thank you all for listening. Please pray for us. We will be praying for you, and we'll see you all next time.